Hi everyone, it's 4 o'clock or nearly 4 o'clock and it's Leanne from SoFab and it's Tuesday, so it's our Technique Tuesday. And today I'm going to show you how to make a portable ironing board to have the sewing machine at home. It's probably where I would use mine. Just going to wait a few minutes to see who pops on. I can see a couple of people popping on now. Hi Denise, how are you? Hopefully you're going well. I'm just seeing that there's a few people pop on. Hi Jackie, good to see you. Hopefully you're recovering well as well. Sounds doubling up there. Just getting my sewing machine a little bit organised. Hi Robin. Okay, so today we are making a portable ironing board. Hi Denise. There's a few people popping on. Hi Tony. Okay, so I'll show you what I've made. So I did a prototype yesterday, so I have actually made one. So hi Nicole, hi Sandra. So that is my portable ironing board. So it's got legs on it. It's about 40 centimetres square. It's not about, it is exactly 40 centimetres square. I'm happy you're watching too, Jackie. And I have made it so that you can remove the cover for washing, if you want to. And it has a felt, it's just a piece of 3mm felt, but I'll talk to you about what I've actually used in a moment. So the cover itself it's got linen on the outside. I've got a piece of thermal compressed, heat-resistant compressed wadding on the inside here, and I'll talk to you about that in a moment. And then it actually, just a little bit of elastic to help it stay on. So I'll pop that back on. The cover easily goes on. I can't do it standing up, so I'm just doing it down here. So there it is, back on again. Hi Janice, hi Fiona. Okay, so that, if I hold it back, is my portable ironing board. So let's talk about how we made it. So the first thing you need is a piece of 12mm thick MDF board. So we just got an off-cut, but you can go and have it cut. Now, if you can't or haven't got access to these products, we can actually make the board for you for a small fee, of course, up to a certain stage, and then you can go from there. But I'm going to talk to you about what we used so that you can actually make your own. Okay, board. So we've got a 40 by 40 centimetre piece of, or 400 millimetres, because when you take it to a cabinet guy, he's going to talk in millimetres. So 400 mils square. It's a 12mm thick, so that thick here, MDF. And what Michael's done, he's helped me with this, is he's just sanded around the corners just with a hand sander to take off those really sharp edges there. So he's given it a gentle sand, sanded the corners there and here, and then we've started with our base board. So I will try and write these into a document, and I might actually put them into our sit and sew along files. At least I'll know where it is then. So a 400mm square. Now there's no reason why you can't make it 500mm, 300mm. The size is entirely up to you. But I found that this sits on my little table that I've got next to the sewing machine, and it fits perfectly there. So that's 400, and it's quite a good size to actually iron on. So then what we've done is we've applied some legs to the bottom. So the original post, or the idea, so when I found this as an idea, I've taken it to another level, but it had little doorknobs. So it had a wooden doorknob as a leg, and you screw it in from the top, just those little round wooden doorknobs. But I felt that they would actually slip around a little bit too much when you're ironing them, depending upon the surface that you had. So I found some door stops. So they are called door stop. So that's one packet. So that was my white packet, and that is my, I know it's backwards, but it's a door stop. Now they're readily available at Bunnings. They should be readily available at any hardware store. I just got these from the hardware store. The black ones were about $1.80 each. These ones were $5 each. So these were much more expensive. So that's the white ones, but that was all I could get. So otherwise I would have had all black. So the black ones look like that. The white ones are the same, they're just white. Can't really explain why they were so much dearer, but I had no other option. So they're called a door stop. So they're originally, what they're for is you'll screw them into the floor or your cupboard to stop the door from banging on your wall. So you'll need 4 of those. They come in a single packet unless you can find somewhere that you'll get multi-packets. So single packet, okay. Then what we did was we measured in, so you'll be able to see Michael's little corner thing here. So we've measured in about 1 inch in from here and here, and then he's drawn a line that goes centre there to find the centre. So what he has done then is he's actually drilled the screw comes with it, into the base and up through the top. Now the screws are a little bit too long, but when we went to try and get a shorter screw, apparently Narendra didn't have any. So we had to just make do with what we've got. So what we did was we ground it down at the top just to make it flat. So if you find that your screw is a little bit too high, just make it smooth at the top. But originally we were just going to get just slightly shorter screws. So we drill it into the base on all 4 corners. Okay. Hi Denise. Right, so that's our base preparation. Our top press, what we've done is we've applied a piece of felt, only because I felt that it gave a better look when you actually took your cover off. It gave it a little bit of extra padding, and then your wadding didn't catch on the actual wooden ball. Right, so what I've used is a piece of 3mm thick felt. Now we do have them. They are called stiffened felt A3. This is a charcoal, so we've used 1 of these and a bit. So 2 of them will actually get you 1 plus enough left over to make another, at least another 1. If you actually bought 4 of these, I think I worked it out, 1, 2, 3, 4 of these would yield you 4 boards. So I think it's on our website. I will make sure that it's active if you want it. Failing that, for those that haven't got access to that or are not, you can buy, if you just went to Bunnings, you should be able to buy some stick-on felt, about 450 mils. Because ours wasn't self-sticking, we got ourselves a tube of Quick Grip. It's glue. You can buy it in this big can or a smaller can. What we did was we just lightly sprayed the board. I laid my A3 piece on, then I buttered up my next piece to it, and then I just trimmed around what I needed, and it's quite secure. There's a small join in there, but really at the end of the day it's an ironing board, so no one's really going to matter. Okay, so 2 sheets of that will yield you 1 and you'll have enough left over. So that's a 3mm piece. Any questions? So that gets you out of trouble with all the hardware. Of course, if you would like us to make you one of these, it's going to cost you $25. Okay, so we'll get it up to that stage for you. Hi, 2 weeks on our way home. Hi, Jeanette. I hope I was here and said hi. I can't remember. Okay, so let's talk measurements for your board. So what I did was I measured across here. That's 16 inches. That was about ½ inch. So I added that to my measurement. So I cut a piece. The piece I started with, I cut my wadding. I'm reading my notes here. You could quite easily do that, Jill. It was just all I had at the time being. So I would have cut the board originally at 450, but I wanted it to sit on a specific size. Okay, but yes, cut the size to the felt perfectly. You can do whatever you like. If you're going to cut it to A3, you might need 2 center legs as well. 1 on each corner, 1 on either side. That's not good, Jeanette, if you couldn't stop. Okay, so the wadding on the inside, that needs to be cut 2½ inches shorter than the outside piece. So if I'm working with my measurements, I've cut that piece of wadding 17 inches. Okay, and then I've cut the outside bit 19½. And that's going to give you a turn underneath. So basically you need to measure the top, add your sides, and how much you want to go underneath. And then you've got your outside measurement. The wadding needs to be about 2½ inches shorter. It just needs to be across and down. And the reason for that is because I didn't want to have that thickness going underneath. So, yeah. Of course, you can modify this however you like. Right, so I've done a little bit of prep. So what I've done is I've drawn in from each edge here 1¼ inches there, because that's just where I'm going to place my wadding. So I worked it out so that I'd need to draw in. So I've drawn in 1¼ inches on either corner here. Then I've centered my piece of wadding into that square, and then I've sewn it down about 1/8 of an inch. Can you see there? And that just keeps it into place for when you want to take it off and wash it. So because it is a bit shorter. And when you sit it on, that sewn edge actually should sit almost at the base of that turnover. I'm probably not explaining myself very well. Okay, so then you need to cut the corners out once you've sewn that. So I've measured in 1½, and it does go into your wadding, and that's quite okay. So we've measured in 1½ onto each corner. So now you cut those corners out. So you can see where I've measured in 1½. So we're boxing the corners. So I'm going to cut that. The only thing I didn't bring with me today was a decent pair of scissors. So I'm going to cut those out. Here, and then we're going to box our corners. So I haven't got a mask on at the moment, even though I should probably. I just probably should get my mask. So I have had one on all day. Okay, so all 4 corners are boxed, boxed, boxed and boxed. And now we're going to pinch them together, the sides like that. So can you see what I've done? So I've taken each corner there and I've brought them together, made sure that the ends meet, and then I'm going to sew up here, and I'm going to do that 1/4 inch. So I'm going to put the phone down now so you can actually see what I'm going to be doing. And mind that moving down. Any questions, feel free to just pop them in the comments, and if I can't answer them, I will do so. Okay, so we're going to box the corners. We're doing a 1/4 inch seam. and I'm actually doing a reverse backwards and forwards. And you need to do that to all 4 corners, okay? And then after you've done that, you're going to fit it over to the top just to make sure that it fits nicely. Pretty simple when you no, you don't need the Insulbrite, Jeanette, because this is a heat resistant compressed wadding, so you can purchase it off the website. It's $7 a metre, so it is under stabilizers and wadding, I think. So but if you didn't have that, then you could use normal wadding with a layer of Insulbrite. This wadding is actually really quite thick and compressed. It's really quite a nice wadding to use. Okay, so we're going to just sort of pop our corners out. Missed the start, you'll have to go back. I didn't say it at the start anyway, I don't think. Okay, so then we're going to pop it over the top just to make sure that it's all fitting into place. If you need to make adjustments, you can. You might decide that you need to go just a bit tighter in those corners, so I'm happy with that. Okay, right. Next and final step, apart from threading the elastic through, is I've got this, it's country binding. We've got some really lovely colours. So it comes in, you know, these beautiful stripes. This is just a small sample of what we've got in the shop. But I've chosen this chocolate brown to go with mine. So I know you're going to ask me how much, and I didn't measure, but I think you'd be looking at, so 400, so that's probably about 2 metres, I'd say. 2.5 in a pinch. I don't think you'd need 2.5, but you will need to have at least 2 metres. So I opened it up like that, and I'm opening up one side of that. Okay, so the thing is, I'm also just going to turn and neaten edge up on one side. So I don't know whether you can see what I've done. I've just turned that up, and then I'm going to sew in the fold. So I'll reverse. This is when you need time lapse. And I'm just going to sew all of that down. I mean, I've got the luxury of just having a whole roll here. So I've got one edge, the outside edge, even with the raw edge of the linen, and then I'm sewing in that fold. When I get to the corners, I'm just flattening it out. So I'm just sort of flattening it out, and because you're using a bias, I should mention this is a bias tape, that you will be able to go around the corners really quite nicely, so without too many difficulties. So flatten it out. Normally I would have my ball sort of keep me on the straight and narrow. I didn't, so when you can manipulate it, hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I might move that just in a little bit there so you can see that I'm just sort of straightening the edges out a little bit as I'm going around. And just going all the way around. It's so quick. The longest part is actually preparing the board. Remembering, I've done mine 400 by 400. You can make it whatever size. You'll just need to adjust the measurements of the fabric. So to work out how much binding you want, you measure all 4 sides, add a little bit for the turnover at the end, about 1 inch, you should be right. Recap, measure the top of your board, add the width or the thickness of the board. In my case it was 1/2 inch, so I measured across, got the measurements, then I added 2.5 inches for the fold down to the other side. You could do a little bit extra if you wanted to, but you will find that you need to make allowances for your feet or the legs that are on. Try not to go too much further than 1 inch in, otherwise the board becomes unstable, and when you're ironing to the edges, you'll actually tip the board. So, okay, almost at the other side. Sorry, this is the boring bit. I've used a linen. Whatever fabric you use, it needs to be able to be ironed, so you wouldn't use a silky fabric or canvas, linen. You could use cotton, as long as it can withstand constant ironing. So almost at the other side. And I'm remembering that this is an ironing board cover. It really isn't a ball gown. So I'm not going to stress too much about it. Nearly there. So when we get to the other side, when we're caught up with the other side, what I did was I got as close as I could get. And I've overlapped it probably about 1/2 inch, cut off my binding. And then when I got to this other edge here, once it was butted up against it, then I folded it back. So I don't know whether I'll show you when I get it off the ironing, when I get it off the machine, what I've done. Make it a little bit easier. Overlapped it a little bit, reversed it, so scissor off. So if you can sort of see what I've done there. Your one outing. The other thing that I actually did was that I went back and I sewed from here up to the sewing point, just to lock that down so that when you go to thread the elastic in, you're not sort of fighting with, so I just popped it underneath, and I just did, as I said, I just went to the row of stitching, reversed back, and that sort of keeps it down when you, keeps the seam down when you're wanting to thread the elastic through. So and it takes 2 seconds, and it will save you a lot of frustration. Scissor off. Keep wanting for that to lift up. Okay, so trim all your threads. I am only going to show you this next step quickly, because otherwise you're going to be watching me sew for the next half hour. Okay, so that's where I'm up to. So you can see I'm sewing that on. So you can see there, into there. So then I'm going to fold it over, just so that you can see. So I've got my seam pressed towards the binding, and I'm actually enclosing the seam. Just cut those little threads off. So see how I'm casing the seam? And then I'm going to sew close to that edge there. So close to the inside edge there. I will start so that you can see where I'm up, what I'm doing. Now I've got a Bernina 1/4 inch foot on my machine, so for those that, and I've got it lined up on the inside of the 1/4 inch foot lead. So I'm rolling it over. I'll just do a little bit, and then you can see when I get to the edges or the corners, I just sort of flatten them out so that they are straight. And then I'm just repositioning. So my folded edge, or the other raw edge, or the folded edge of the bias is actually on top of the seam, and it's enclosing that seam. So you'll notice I haven't cut it back. I'm just going to do a bit of reverse. Scissor off and I'll finish this later. So if you can see what I've done, so I've actually covered that raw seam. So the seam here, this is where I've joined it, so I've just rolled it over. So I don't know whether you can see that. I've just rolled it over the seam like that, kept it nice and flat, and then sewn it there. Hopefully you can see that. It's a bit hard, so we don't swear. I've missed all that, Jeannie. I will have a look at your comment in a moment. Okay, so once you've done that, then you're going to thread some elastic. So what you'll end up with is you'll end up with an opening here. So you can see you'll end up with an opening there. It doesn't matter whether you thread it to the inside or the outside, but I did thread it onto the inside. I used a 6mm, I think it was, elastic, and I threaded it all the way through, and I pulled it so that it was firm on my on the board, but allowing you enough room to be able to put it on. So that you have to be really careful about how firm you pull the elastic, because you need it to be able to get over the board. So I'll show you the cover again in a moment. I'll just pop this up. Sorry. Okay, so you might get a better look. So I've taken, that's how I've sewn it on. So you can see how I've sewn it on there. Actually, there. So raw edge. Then I have rolled it over that raw edge like thus. So I've just rolled it over, so it's encasing the raw edge. I'm not folding it over like that. That's wrong. I'm just encasing that seam. So you'll be able to see what I've done there. Okay. So there is a nice finished edge on one side. So it gives you a nice sort of binded look. Bound looks, binded's not even a word. Bound look on here. And then you're going to thread elastic through that casing. So what you've done is you've just made a casing. So if you can, you might find it an advantage to actually pop it on the board as you're threading the elastic through it, just to make sure that when you're threading it through, as you're pulling and tightening it, it'll encase it fairly well. Okay, I will pull this other one off, get an idea. I love these. I'm really super happy with the way they've come out. I did trial ironing with it yesterday, and I love the feel of it. There's nothing came through, so you can see how tight mine is there. Looks like a shower cap. Okay, so you can see how, and all I've done is tie it. Then if I want to adjust it, I can. The first prototype though, I ended up having to throw the elastic out because I'd made it way too short, and I couldn't actually physically get the cover over the board itself. Well, that's about it, ladies. So do we have any questions? I will have a look through I'm just going to put this ironing board cover back on. It's so easy just to pop on. So you could make it a little bit longer than 1.5 inches, but you'll see what I mean here. You've got to be careful here how much turnover you do, okay? Excuse me. Any questions? How cool is that one there? Obviously I haven't got the, it is a great project, Jackie. It is, I'm super happy with it, apart from, excuse me, the board, a bit of dust off the, I wouldn't be able to have a glass of water, no, sorry. A bit of fluff off the wadding there, sorry ladies. So, yeah, so it irons beautifully, so you can match it to, I love these partridges, or whatever you like to call them. I've given you all the measurements. I don't think there's much more I can tell you about it, but do you have any questions at all? Thank you. Sorry. Thanks. Have a little glass of water. Thanks, Jennifer. I'm pretty happy with it. So it is actually pretty simple. If you want to know any more about it, then yes, you can use steam with it. Jeanette, I've used steam yesterday. I haven't used the big iron on it yet, but I can't see there being a problem. The wadding that I've used is you're welcome, Tony, it's called, what is it called? Heat resistant compressed wadding. It's about $7 a metre. It's a Hemline product. You will see it on our website. It's a great idea, Sandra. I like the legs on it. The legs are stable. Hi, Jill. So I found, I think if we had have used what this is a modification of the one that I did see on Pinterest. I do spend a lot of time on Pinterest. Theirs, they actually stapled the fabric around, but I hate staple guns because they never work for me properly. And then Michael suggested perhaps, you know, we might want to take the cover off for washing or replacement if you don't want to wash it. So you can have a couple of different covers, and then I thought, well, I can adapt this so that it actually comes off, and then you've still got your board. So that's what I did. But I think the door handles would slip around. They were those wooden sort of round door handles, but I think they'd slip around too much. Whereas this, when it's on the bench here, doesn't slip around at all. It's actually really quite sturdy when you're ironing. But yes, you can use steam. If there's no other questions, I'll sign off. So next week, we're going to do a block roll. So I've got that organised, so I'm a bit excited about that. We will do a live reveal this weekend for the Sit and Sew Along. I've got that organised. And I think what I might do is do a little giveaway early next week for those in the Sit and Sew Along group, and I'll explain that all to you. I think I'll probably do the reveal Sunday morning. I find that works better for me if I've got a class, and I get quite a few people on board on Sunday morning. So the Sit and Sew Along reveal will be Sunday morning, and I'll just post the time up in the group page to let you know. And I shall see you next week well, I'll see you Saturday, but for those that only join on Tuesday, I'll see you all next week, 4 p.m. I'm liking this time. So have a great rest of the week. For those in Sydney and in lockdown, stay safe, and we'll talk soon. Bye.